What is a research paper?
Where we discuss about an identified problem and our data collected, and based on that we do some research methodology based tools we use, and we give a conclusion on
Do
our.
we call it a research paper, that one?
Sir, may I?
Yeah, please you don't have to ask any permissions, please.
Sir, actually, research paper is an authenticated document that that have validity of our research, that goes through with a number of reviewing process, in which we are mentioning literature review. From that, we need to suppose mention
You may do,
research.
Hita, you may do everything and keep it in your cupboard. Does it become a research paper?
No, sir. Basically, we need to present in summarized way.
No. Basically, it should be reviewed and published in an academic journal after verifying what you have done. Correct?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So a research paper will become is an academic work, simply saying an academic work usually published in a journal. Correct?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
It contains some original research results, or you might have reviewed several papers and reviewed those results. You may not have done yourself some research, but you would have seen several things and compared each one of them and come out with some paper. So either original or this, which we also call article, will only be considered valid if it undergoes process of peer review by one or more referees or academics in the same field who check the content of the paper, whether suitable for publication or not. Correct? All of us know, because we undergo these labor pains, every one of us. Paper may undergo series of reviews, revisions and resubmissions. Correct? It may be accepted or rejected also several times. The process typically takes several months, we all know. And a delay of many months after submission and after acceptance also many months for printing. Now, if any one of you think these labor pains won't be there to people like me who have published more, you are totally mistaken. Whether you had 10 children or 20 children, the next child, you'll have to go through the same 9 months of gestation and same labor pains. It is not that God gives you a concession, you had 9 children, so 10th child, I won't give you labor pains. Yes, madam?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So, as far as the research is concerned, the same pains will be undergone by you, me, and everyone. One paper of mine, twice rejected, third time it's going through a review in an international journal. Though rejection may be on the basis of saying that your paper is not suitable for our journal, but that is a very, very light, delicate way of telling you are useless. So these pains are quite common. So one should not get disappointed by rejection or reviews. This keeps happening. Now, a good research paper summarizes understanding of the research, what research community has done till that time. That means if you see a good research paper, it will tell you what research community has done till his paper has been published. That is what we call it as review of literature. Then it say contributes some new knowledge to the understanding of the subject. That means after telling what people have done, it says what is this paper adding to the knowledge. Okay. Explains application and real world relevance of the research. Okay. And how exactly this research is useful. What is the advantage of this research? It explains. That means what is its contribution, and discusses what are the shortcomings or what are the limitations of the research. It says that my research suffers from this approach. That means every research will definitely suffer from some limitations because nobody can do entire thing. So it discusses shortcomings of its approach. And it lists what are the future research opportunities on the subject. if somebody else wants to continue on that research, what are the future research opportunities on that particular subject? So these are a few important points for a good research paper. If it has all these components, it can be called as a good research paper. Now, let's see the steps. Now, just want to tell you that how do we start writing a research paper? First and foremost, as most of you have already told, you choose a broad area of research. That is very important. Broad area of research is very, very critical. It is not a research question. It is an area of research. Say, like, for example, the area of research could be, like, say, Jalak is telling that air pollution. She wants to study the air pollution. That could be the area of research. When you do the review of literature and see the previous data, you come to know that what studies have already been done on the subject and what areas have been left out. Suppose it is done in cities, suppose it is not done in towns, suppose it is not done in rural areas, suppose it is not done in backward countries, suppose it is not in some other place. What is the exact area where you can pick up? You come to know only after you see what has been done on that particular subject before you have started your research. Now, the next one comes. Sorry, a lot of people are joining one after the other. They are disturbing. Then, after you see the review of literature, the first and foremost thing is you identify the research gap. What is the area you can pick up which has not been either not adequately researched or not touched at all? And formulate a research question. You formulate a research question, and this is the place where you make a proper research question after you identify the research gap. What is the difference between identifying the research gap and formulating the research question? Anybody?
Sir, something we have identified from the literature, which is not there for our study, is a research gap.
Sorry, can you tell me again? Can you tell me again, GV? GV, can you tell again?
Sir, after understanding the literature, we need to identify some of the things which are not taken care for my research, or whatever the conceptual gaps we are identified. So from the previous research, that can be incorporated for my research. That is, thereby we can identify.
I asked you, what is the difference after finding the gap between the gap and the research question? What is the difference?
So
I didn't ask you, what do you do with it?
Yeah.
So the research question should be formulated in such a way in order to fulfill the gap identified.
Anyone else? I'm not
The research gap denotes the area that can be explored further, which is missing in the literature. And the research question is, from the gap, what is the objective or the question that we are going to take it up?
Lovely, Radhika. See, research gap could be huge. I may not be able to cover. See, suppose the research gap says the research gap, air pollution has not been studied in villages. Now, possibly you cannot study all the villages in the country, or you cannot study all the villages in India, or in the world. So you may say, I will do the research gap study, see the research gap, but my research question is, I want to study the air pollution in the villages of, say, southern Tamil Nadu. Now what you have done, you have narrowed down only that much which you are able to actually contribute to your research. Now your limitation is that though the gap is not being studied, you have only been able to do only a part of the research gap, and future researchers may fill up the rest of the gap. Maybe Smita will take up Kerala, somebody else may, Vidisha may take up something else in Karnataka, in Bengal, somebody else may take up something else. The whole idea is, it is not possible for one individual to fill up the entire research gap that has been observed. So research question emanates out of the research gap. So research question is a subset of research question, research gap, but it may not, and many times will not cover the entire gap that is observed. Are you clear? GV, are you able to understand?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, after you formulate the research question, next thing comes, formulate the research hypothesis. Now, here there is an important point. It depends upon what type of study you are doing. Hypothesis means you are presuming some sort of a relationship and verifying whether that relationship exists or does not exist. Are you able to understand?
Sir, I have a doubt in this.
No, we'll come first. Have you understood my point?
Yeah, yes.
Because your doubt was too fast after my point.
Sorry, sir. No, it was based on the point, sir.
So what I wanted to ask you, that in research hypothesis, we presume certain amount of relationship and verify whether such a relationship exists or not. Like, for example, I'll give you an example. People born after 1990 are more likely to have love marriages compared to arranged marriages. Are you able to understand the statement?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Now, all those who are born after 1990, please don't jump around. It's only a hypothesis. It has nothing to do with actuals, okay? Okay, it's nothing to do with actuals. Yeah, but sir, you close this. Help me, Amma. No. Okay, so this thing is a statement. Now, you may take 100, 200, 500, 1,000 boys, girls born after 1990 and understand what type of marriage they have undergone. And you come to some relationship and say whether that is true or false, correct?
Yes, sir.
Now, the true or false is also not absolute. Unless your universe is so big, covers all areas. Tomorrow somebody may say people after 1990 born in Maharashtra are more likely to have love marriages than those born in Tamil Nadu. We don't know. But we presume some sort of a relationship. And after we presume some sort of a relationship, we investigate whether that relationship holds or not. But in qualitative research, we don't presume anything. We just go with an open mind. We just go with to observe the lifestyle of nomads in the country. Okay, to observe the lifestyle of gypsies in the country who go from place to place with their camel and other things. You don't have any assumption. You don't know how they live. You don't know what type of marriages that they will have. So in those places, there may not be any hypothesis. Are you with me? You go with an open mind. You go and observe, say 10, 15, 20 camps, 10, 15, 20 camps, and finally say you observed these 20 camps and this is how you observe the lifestyle. Now, after you make the study, somebody may go further to make a hypothesis and do a quantitative study. So what I want to say, qualitative study does not necessarily have a hypothesis. Are you with me? Whereas quantitative study has a hypothesis. In quantitative study, hypothesis, normally 3 to 4 relationships will assume a particular relationship. So like, for example, I may say, teachers are very strict mothers. All of you are teachers, so you'll have to tell me true or false. Teachers are strict mothers for their own children.
Yes, sir. Yes.
They're true.
False, sir. False, sir.
See, now my hypothesis is teachers are strict mothers. Now, to measure the strictness, I may have my own instrument, and I may decide, interview several teachers because you may always say no, your children will tell you your truth. Okay, how strict you are, how terrorizing you are, they will tell us. So we'll do an interview and say yes or no, true or false. In all these things, you are presuming a relationship between variables. Correct? Are you with me?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So
Yes, yes.
having a hypothesis generally is there in quantitative and research, but in qualitative research may or may not have a hypothesis. Okay? In qualitative research, generally you go with an open mind and see how it looks like, whereas in quantitative research, you have an assumption and go whether the assumption is true or false. Now, after formulating hypothesis, now you get into data collection. Yeah, please. Yeah, tell me, please.
In case of qualitative,
I can't hear you, dear. In
Usually.
place of quantitative research?
Sir,
Yeah.
I
in
just
case of qualitative
mentioned
research,
that there are, sir,
said
Sheena,
qualitative
just
research.
wait for a minute. I think Anand is speaking. Yeah. Tell me. Okay, Sheena, come continue.
sir, it does not necessarily mention that in certain cases, in qualitative research methods, researchers may, sometimes assume some, they may take some hypothesis, or sometimes not. So can you quote such instance wherein the researchers can make use of hypothesis?
Oh, yeah, actually, tomorrow when I'm going to talk about the research question, I'll be dealing with the qualitative research in detail. Okay, there will be about 10 minutes coverage of that. At that time, I will show you where hypothesis can be there.
Okay, thank you, sir.
But that hypothesis need not test the relationship between two variables. Like, I will give you an example. Hypothesis could be, yeah, of course, qualitative. Somebody is asking a question. Archana has sent it. His question is, a qualitative research without a hypothesis, is it accepted? Very much. See, I will tell you a hypothesis, Sheena, in a qualitative research. I will say the soldiers who are posted in high altitude areas are likely to be depressed. Is a thinking. There is a relation, but we are not going with an assumption that they will be depressed. They may be depressed. It's a thinking. Or we are going to measure the depression quotient in depression in the people, whether they are depressed at all and they are posted to high altitude areas. But we are going through interviews and taking some discussions and observing and making up, telling what it is, and ultimately leave it to people to decide whether it is depression or not. Getting it?
Okay, sir. Yes, sir.
So we will deal with it more tomorrow.
Okay, thank you, sir.
After that, we will be, tomorrow we'll be doing the first session, we do the complete review of literature. Second session will be gap identification, research question, and research hypothesis, we'll do it. And third session tomorrow, Professor Joshin will be doing data collection. Professor Joshin is there, I think, today, correct?
Yes, I'm listening.
Yeah, Professor Joshin is there. Tomorrow he'll be doing data collection in the third session. Am I right, Joshin?
That's right, sir.
So he'll be doing data collection. So in the data collection, there are several things are important. Choosing the sample, whether it is published data, like Jhalak was just telling about some published data on air pollution, published data, or you can go to field data, you can go and measure yourself, or you can take a lab data. So what it is can all be decided later. Okay. So it is publishing field data or preparing a questionnaire. Just give me half a minute, please. Just give me half a minute.
Sure, sir.
Sir, I have one small question, sir.
Just give me half a minute.
Yes, sir.
Just half a
Sir,
minute.
sir, just I have one small question.
Just half a minute. Just wait. Yeah, you called me. I'm in the middle of a session. Is it anything urgent, emergency? I'll call you after the session, okay? Right. Yeah, tell me. Tell me, please. Yeah, GV. I think people are having problems. Yeah. No, I can't hear you, GV. Sorry. Okay, for collection of data, then you go ahead and prepare an instrument. That is what we call it as questionnaire or whatever it is, the type of instrument that you want to use. You prepare an instrument, then you check that instrument, validate that instrument, whether it is a qualitative instrument or whether it's a quantitative data collection instrument. All this will be covered by Professor Joshin tomorrow. You prepare an instrument. After the data comes in, the data will be analyzed. If it is quantitative, data analysis will be different. If it is qualitative, you try and see the patterns in various interviews, commonalities in various interviews, and you see how data analysis can be done in the qualitative analysis, which will be covered by Professor Harindranath day after tomorrow in the first session in the data analysis portion. And hypothesis testing, true or false, will be covered during the SPSS session by Dr. Asrar. He will be doing as to how exactly what type of tests are required, what type of data is available, what type of testing may be required, how to use the tools is what Dr. Asrar will do it. After that, we'll come back to important things. How do we, once we analyze the data, how do we take it forward? What we call it a discussions. Discussion is converting your mathematical analysis into understandable, socially applicable, socially applicable analysis, which people will be able to relate it to physical things. So you will say that so and so is found having relationship with this. This means this. This means this. In discussion, you also say whether your paper is confirming what previous review research has done, or it is opposing the previous research. That means the previous research has said something, but you found a contrarian proof, or you are extending the previous research into a next level. Are you able to understand? There are three possibilities in discussion. Whether you are confirming the previous research, or whether you are opposing the previous research, that is your findings are contrarian, or you are extending the previous research to the next level. All the three are applicable. Now I want somebody to give me an example of all the three possibilities. With an example. Who wants to go? Gayatri.
I'm thinking of an example, sir. Just give me a minute, sir.
Yeah. Meanwhile, somebody else wants to go. Anyone? Hita, you have to remove your mute before you speak. Yeah.
Yes, sir. Am I audible?
Yeah, you are very much audible, Hita.
Yes, sir. So for the first case is we are, we are supporting the previous work. So if I'm taking example of COVID-19 vaccine and its effects on children. So on the basis of previous research on different disease or on a particular corona disease, so we can we can relate the thing that previous vaccine or previous COVID vaccine will be affecting the children or not. So these examples are I am thinking about.
So what out of the three things, where are you taking your discussion to?
Sir, the first thing that we are support the previous one.
We will confirm the previous thing.
Yes, sir. So if we are taking example of polio vaccine, so so the particular the work that suppose the previous word that is vaccine, particularly vaccine for a polio, is validated.
Okay.
So we can relate. So we can relate this kind of things according to me, sir. If I'm not wrong.
Sir,
yeah, Gayatri.
Sir, now if you are taking a research on whether the introduction of women in Indian boards actually helps the companies, there was some research done and it was found that, of course, the women members were introduced, but it has not in any way helped in increasing the return of investment. So this is a contradictory to that. Women in the board would increase the firm performance. And suppose future scope, say like I have taken only a very limited sample of companies where the result was not good, or a country like India alone, and I go for increasing my sample, that paves way for my contribution to the future research.
Okay, very good. Anyone else wants to go? Professor Matthew, you want to try?
Yeah, I will go with, after doing it, I will also compare with other research thing. They're finding similar thing. Then it is not matching or something like that, then again, I will expand the scope. Okay. Either sampling size or, at different places.
Okay, okay. Anyone else wants to give any example?
May I?
Yeah, please.
Well, I was researching on adaptability. That was my PhD topic. And there was a very important study on adaptability by Pulakos and her fellow researchers. So I had, myself created a scale, and I was trying to discover the dimensions of adaptability. So I found that 4 of my dimensions also matched with Pulakos. So here I'm supporting their research. One of the dimensions that I found was not there in the research. So here there was a little contradiction. Also, I was trying to measure the effect of demographic factors on adaptability, and I found that age does not have, for my sample, has any effect on adaptability, which is a contradictory to previous research. And I also extended from where Pulakos and her fellow researchers did their research, that I introduced a new factor in adaptability. So that is extension of their research.
Lovely, beautiful. Like for example, I just want to extend, Sujata has more than adequately covered it. I just want to, suppose you say the previous research was researched on motivation of employees, and that is the construct, which is motivation is a construct which is abstract. We found 4 concepts to measure that. Say productivity, constructive work behavior, innovation, and say what you call it as continuity of employees or low attrition. Okay, these are the 4 concepts that I have chosen to build that construct. and I've done a research and published a research paper. Okay. Are you getting my point? Anybody not able to understand what I'm telling? For explaining a construct called motivation, yeah, Trinley has also said no. See, I'm trying to measure motivation level of employees in an organization. Okay? Are you okay? Any objection?
No, sir.
No.
Okay. So in doing so, I've taken 4 concepts to measure. One is productivity of employees, which is measurable. Second is the innovation coefficient of employees, again measurable. Third is the employees continuing in the organization, again measurable. Third is constructive work behavior, that is to help others, and various other factors of constructive work behavior. Okay, 4 concepts I have identified and did that and measured motivation and did a paper and published. Now Matthew is doing another paper. He went and studied motivation of employees. Now suppose his practical solutions are matched by taking their 4 concepts for motivation. He will say, I'm confirming what Bhatta has done in 1992 on motivation. Those 4 concepts appear to be applicable now also in your measurement now. You may say that apart from these 4, the employee savings in reducing the wastage is another important factor. Suppose Matthew finds out. Are you with me?
Yes, sir.
Now, what has Matthew done is that he said Bhatta has found these 4 factors. Those 4 are applicable, but it appears that a new factor needs to be added, that the amount of wastage of raw material by employees is another measure of how well they are motivated. A motivated employee makes sure that nothing is wasted. Okay, that means what has he done? What Matthew has done?
I brought additional factors.
He has extended the previous study. He has extended the previous thing.
Extension of a previous work.
Yeah, now he may come out, say that Bhatta has said this, but in my opinion, constructive work behavior may not necessarily talk about motivation as per my research. What has he done?
Contradiction.
He contradicted. So now the question is, your discussion says, are you confirming, extending, or contradicting the previous research? That is what is called, that is how you build up the whole theory and relate your research to the previous research as to what previous research had done, what your research has done, and how these 2 are related is what is discussion. Are you with me? Anyone having a doubt? Yeah,
No,
please.
sir.
Yeah. Yes or no? Trinley, you could not understand earlier. Are you able to understand now, Trinley? Bindu says no. Where is Bindu? Bindu.
So actually, I said I have no doubt, sir. I understood you. That's what I mentioned.
Okay, but you said no. So it says it is contradiction, not confirmation. Okay, good. Anyone who has not understood what essentially discussion involves? Discussion is relating your findings with the previous research. Okay? Trinley, are you okay? Trinley, you can chat and show me. Great. Now, after discussion, now you are clearly saying your findings, that this is what you found in your research, and conclude. Now here comes conclusion and recommendations from your side. You said, this is what I feel from my research, this is what comes, and this is how I conclude, this is what I recommend. Now you've done this, but this is not enough. You have to say, what is the relevance of your research? Because your research has no meaning. Suppose I do a research, when I come out of a house, if I see a lady with red sari, my work will be done well, and otherwise it won't be done well. And I create a whole research paper about it. Will it help the world? It has got no meaning. Because the research has to contribute something. Research should be able to, people should be able to use that research something. So, next it comes to contribute. How does your research contribute? One, contribute for practical applications. Two, to the universe of literature. Well, the contribution also gets into two parts, whether it's for it's for only for the industry, or for industry and the universe of literature that is there. How does it contribute? You are adding a new thing, you brought a new concept, you built a new theoretical concepts, and you are presenting. So your research is this. So contribution is next part of it. After contribution, limitations and scope for research, scope for future research. Every research will suffer from some limitations and will have some scope for future research to cover those limitations. Not all limitations can be covered by every future research. Everybody can pick up whatever they want. Okay, so far, any questions?
How do you define the limitations? Because it can be subjective also, no, sir?
No. Limitations are very simple to define. Now, for example, your research question is, say people born after 1990 are more likely to have love marriages, okay, in Tamil Nadu. This is your research question. Any doubt on that? रमनदीप जी, आप थोड़ा म्यूट लगा के बात करिए. रमनदीप, डॉक्टर रमनदीप, डॉक्टर रमनदीप. Dr. Ramandeep, don't lose your civic sense, please. When you are speaking to somebody else, have the courtesy to mute. You are spoiling 70, 80 other people's time. Okay. Now, your research question is, people born after 1990 in Tamil Nadu are more likely to go for love marriages. This is your research question, correct? Any doubt on the research question?
No, sir.
Okay. Now, you have gone and checked 5 districts.
No, sir.
You have checked 5 districts of Tamil Nadu and come out with some results. Okay. Now, it may so happen 5 districts cannot give you the complete Tamil Nadu picture. Your limitation is, with my resources available, I could only do 5 districts. Or you check Chennai, Coimbatore, what are the other towns in Tamil Nadu? I forgot. There's something called Madurai.
Trichy.
Trichy. Say you check 4 cities. Then you say, I only checked 4 cities. I don't know about rural Tamil Nadu. My research suffers from the fact that rural Tamil Nadu has not been checked. The future researchers may check rural Tamil Nadu also and confirm or deny what I found. That is the limitation.
So my limitation is scope for further research for somebody else, sir.
Naturally, 100%.
Okay, sir.
Every time you find a limitation, it is somebody else's scope.
Sir, may I?
Yeah.
Sir, actually, sir, when we are supposed to write a review paper, so sir, in writing a review paper, what kind of facts or what kind of particular part that we are supposed to or we need to supposed to focus on particular that part? Because sir, when we are writing a review paper, so sir, hypothesis and this kind of stuff will be eliminated automatically. So sir, how can we write effective review paper?
See,
Sir, am I audible?
You are very much audible. I am answering your question.
Yes, sir.
See, review paper means, suppose there are 10 people who talked about, say, about communicable diseases in 10 different countries. Now you are creating a paper reviewing these 10 things, and you say globally how are communicable diseases. Now you are looking at each person's work and creating it is you're exploring through the earlier papers what exactly they have done and putting all of them together to bring in onto one single collation platform as to how communicable diseases are behaving in all say underdeveloped countries. So each country might have been done by a different person. You might be putting together all of them in which there may not be any hypothesis.
Yes, sir.
You are going openly with what they have done. They might have done a qualitative research, they might have done a quantitative research. Now you will in your review, you will criticize whether it is good, bad, ugly, whatever it is. Okay.
Yes, sir.
And create your paper. Now, but the fact remains, what has your review contributed?
Yes, sir.
Your discussion will still be there.
Yes, sir. So, sir, my question is particularly on a part
Hello,
of discussion.
ma'am. Good afternoon, ma'am. Good afternoon.
Yes,
Dr. Mercia,
Yes, ma'am.
please put your mute.
Abin, good afternoon. Apana, good afternoon.
Dr. Mercia, please put your mute.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. So my particular question is on discussion part. Sir, my review is some of factors. As I have talked to you with earlier, that my topic is on organizational power and politics. So, sir, half of the factors are extending and half of the factors are contradicting. So, sir, it can be possible that whole research can be divided into two parts, whether it is extending or whether it is...
Absolutely. In fact, most of my research, some of them are extending, some of them are confirming, some of them are contradicting. All will be a part of discussion. In fact, most of the cases you will find such things. In fact, if you find it, I find your research is very good.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Any other questions, please?
So, sir, in this case, how will you generalize this particular scenario?
In which case?
Yeah, just now, Hidana mentioned about review of literature, no? Wherein we were discussing that, I mean, we can either confirm the previous research, opposing or extending. And finally, we have to give the, I mean, when you're writing the contribution part, no? How will you generalize that, sir?
Okay, so now suppose say, somebody has done 20 people have done 20 countries which are all underdeveloped individually. So Sheena is putting together the research and reviewing these 20. And now putting that how the underdeveloped things are this one. In your discussion, when you come to this, now you will put it that what is, yes? Huh? So in your discussion, you will say what is happening in say South Africa, what is happening in Sri Lanka, how does it differ? Is what is happening in Sri Lanka confirms what is happening in South Africa? What is happening in Burma, Myanmar? All of you, please see, I'm having my tea. Can you see it?
Yes, sir.
So, if you want to have tea, I have no objection. But I cannot pour it in the computer for you.
Okay, sir.
Okay. So, Sheena, so now I compare what is happening with South Africa with what is happening in India, or what is happening in Sri Lanka, what is happening in Malaysia. I try and bring parallels. Now I might say, looking at the demographic situations in two different countries, whether those two are actually matching in what is actually happening. Are you getting it?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Say, suppose the literacy rate in Botswana and Malaysia is equal. Suppose the what is that, annual GDP is equal, for example. Now it is also having a communicable diseases are also having the same this one. Now you are bringing a new relationship that there could be a relationship between GDP, literacy rate, per capita income, etc. on the communicable diseases in a country. Now, how are you able to do it? Because you are able to compare three countries. You are extending your research in a discussion. Are you getting it, Sheena?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. But in between, I am having some contradictory idea. So how will I?
Tell me. I like people who contradict me because they are the real friends of mine. You want to contradict me?
No,
No, I want you to. I want you to. In fact, my students who contradict me in the class get the best grades. Because they are the ones who are making me learn more.
Sir, why I'm asking now, in parallel we are supporting as well as opposing.
Yeah, it's possible.
And that too in one research paper.
Madam, you have children?
Yes, sir.
How many?
Two.
Girls or boys?
Both.
Both? One boy, one girl.
Yes, sir.
Now, if I ask you, do you support your girls' habits?
Sometimes.
Some you support, some you oppose.
Yes, sir.
Some you also have the same. Because genes kahan jayega?
Yes, sir.
Correct?
Yes, sir.
It is quite natural. Some of them will be confirming, some of them will be opposing, some of them will be extending. Right?
Yes, sir.
So it is quite natural. Don't think that we cannot. In same discussion, you may confirming some of the previous literature, opposing some of the previous literature, and extending some of them. Okay? Any other questions?
Sir, I have a doubt.
Yes, Rose. Thank you for speaking.
Sir, the thing is, how do you know whether qualitative research would be nice for your paper or quantitative research?
That is
How
tomorrow.
do we select?
I'm spending some time on this tomorrow.
Okay,
we'll
sir.
keep that question for tomorrow.
Okay, sir. Thank you very
I'm going
much.
to spend especially some time for it.
Okay.
But to give you a one-word answer, if there should be no preconceived notions, it should be qualitative research. If there are either on the basis of previous research or my own perceptions, if I have some preconceived notions, it will be quantitative research.
Okay. So you spoke about hypothesis. Does not that bring a bit of prejudice into your research? You're testing something.
Part of research, but I'm not. By putting a hypothesis, like for example, you see, prejudice is a part of research. Like I'll give you an example of prejudice. When my marriage was fixed about 40 years back, the girl after the marriage was fixed, the girl has refused. The reason was, she says, the boy is from defense, he must be a drunkard.
Okay.
Now, is it a prejudice or not?
She is prejudiced. Yes.
Prejudice. But suppose Rose Paul is continuing research, there is, what is the relationship between a drinking habit of a person and his being in the defense. And one of the hypotheses is people in defense consume more alcohol. Does the statement look prejudiced to you?
No, it does not. But then
Your
anybody can
hypothesis is
consume.
people in defense consume more alcohol.
But that sentence is a bit prejudiced because anybody can consume alcohol.
Hold on. There you stop. Prejudice, correct? Now, you look at the drinking habits of some defense people and non-defense people and then reject that particular hypothesis. It is not true that people in defense drink more. What I am trying to say, hypothesis doesn't mean that you have decided my future. Like the girl who left me 39 years back, 40 years back. So what I am trying to say, the prejudice is only an assumption. You may also assume the other way. The people in the people in defense are not likely to consume more alcohol. Even that is prejudice, correct?
Yeah.
But your research proves whether that prejudice is right or wrong.
Okay.
Right?
Right.
Now, if I say teachers are the strictest mothers, is it prejudicial statement or not?
We can assume that teachers are strict mothers, but
How
it
can you
may
assume?
not.
There is no assumption in research unless you prove it with data. Don't assume it. Just because you are a strict mother, everybody may not be a strict mother.
See, I'm not at all a strict mother. I'm a teacher.
I'm just again, no personal offense, please. We are all friends. Okay, no personal offense.
Okay.
So my point is, assuming that all teachers are strict mothers because they are strict in the class, they come home and put strict, stand up on the bench, study for 1 hour, write the assignment immediately, everybody, no talking. Suppose. They bring the habits from the school to home. Now, but when I make a hypothesis, teachers are strictest mothers. Now I'm making an assumption. I'm not branding teachers as strict mothers. I can also say teachers are not strict mothers as my hypothesis.
Okay.
Then take it forward and prove, no, teachers are all strict mothers. I may prove that. What my research proves is later. What I assume looks like a prejudicial statement when I assume. Are you with me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I understand.
The only question Rose asked, I wanted her to be happy about it. Yeah. Any other questions before I go forward?
Sir, if our statements are prejudiced like this, won't this affect the methodologies or the data collection that we take? Will that have an impact? I'm just curious.
No, it cannot. No, listen. You make a hypothesis, Bindu, to presume something. Now, for example, if I walk on this road, it will lead me to Salem. It may lead me to Salem or it may not lead me to Salem. I may interview 1,000 people who walked on that road and say whether it led them to Salem or not. It is not a prejudice. It is that we are making a statement of some relationship and trying to prove that may be true or not. Something you have to assume now. See, Bindu, you call me to your home for food. Will you call me?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Okay. She said she'll call me. Everybody remember which place you are there, Bindu?
I am in Palakkad, Kerala.
Palakkad. Okay. When I come to see my college mate, Mr. Dr. Sridharan, he's from my college.
Oh, okay. Metro Man. Yeah.
Metro Man Sridharan is from my engineering college. So when I come to see him, I'll come to your house.
Oh, sure. Yes, sir.
Okay, so now I will make an assumption. When I go to Bindu's house, she'll give me a wonderful meal. Is it a prejudicial statement or not?
Yeah, you can expect, yeah.
No, correct. I may also say, Kerala people are simple people. She may just give me a simple meal. Now, when I go and eat, either I confirm that or this, one of them. So it has nothing to do with prejudice. You have to make some assumptions and go. Start your research. When you do the research, I come to some conclusion. So this research, but your conclusion may not be true, because if somebody wants a technical example, AB from Amudam, B from everyone. Okay, you want a technical example. I'll give you a technical example. Okay, now a technical example, say technical means I'll put a managerial example. I will say that people who work in small organizations are more likely to leave their organization in a short time. People less than 20 organizational strength are more likely to leave in 1 or 2 years. Are you able to understand the research hypothesis? Are you able to understand the hypothesis, AB?
Yes,
Amudam?
sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, hypothesis is very clear that people with in organization with less than 20, people are more likely to leave. Now, I do a study and find out that that is not true. I do 500 units and see that there is no great difference of attrition percentage between people less than 20 and people less than up to 100 people. Then I will say my research has shown that this particular hypothesis is false. When you initially see, I'm starting with an assumption. People who are working in an organization with less than 20 employees are more likely to leave in a year or 2. That is my assumption. Whereas when I found out, the assumption has not found true. So the hypothesis gets rejected. Are you with me? The second way of writing it is the number of employees in an organization, nothing to do with the attrition rate of an organization. Are you with me? How I'm changing the hypothesis. Number of employees in an organization is nothing to do with the attrition level in an organization, is my hypothesis. Now, Professor Matthew will be joining shortly. So now if I put a second hypothesis, I'll take 1,000 units of varying strengths and measure the attrition figures and either confirm or not confirm. He said, no, it is not true. It has got a relationship. I will confirm it. If it is true, I'll not confirm it. Are you with me? So, yes, Amudam, are you happy with the example? You are not very happy that Bindu has called me for lunch, but I'll go there still. Okay. Now, after the scope for future research, now your actual paperwork starts. Draft paper, your abstract paper draft, references, and final draft, copy edit, plagiarism check, which Professor Joshin will be covering tomorrow. After that, choosing a journal, revise, resubmit, why the papers get rejected, final publication. Professor Harindanath will be covering day after tomorrow. Somebody, Archana, can you repeat your question? It just appeared and went off.
Sir, I will explain that question, sir. Sir, in case of secondary data quantitative research, is it necessary to have a hypothesis?
Definitely.
Like,
any data-driven research generally will have a hypothesis. The data
but
has
it
to
is no,
prove or
but
disprove something.
No fact, no, sir. Secondary data is a known fact. Why do we assume that there should be some relationship between the cost and sales, something like that?
Unless you take out the analytics and you see the data mining,
yes,
and find out what exactly is inside, how will you know whether it is true or not? Raw data will not mean anything.
Okay. Right. Okay, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Now, Professor Matthew, have you joined? Matthew Manimala? Professor Matthew Manimala? Okay, he has not yet joined. We'll continue till he joins. Okay. There's another way of writing the same thing. First thing is, formulate a research question. The inputs are literature review, and keep refining it. From that, define your variables, hypothesis, definition, and the typology or methodology for your research. Then you design your research where you see what type of questionnaires, what type of survey instruments, what type of data collection is to be done. After that, you verify your design, validate your research tool, instrument, that methods and data, this one validate. After that, select a sample. That is in itself is a very important thing which Professor Joshin will cover tomorrow. The sampling theory, how exactly, what should be the size of sample, all these things. Then research protocol writing, that is what exactly should be the methodology. Then data collection, data processing, and research report. And data processing, you do the coding of the data, methods of data processing, various statistical tools you will be using, and various methods. Ultimately, you complete the study and create a research report. This is another way of putting the same thing. Most of it is taken from various research, internet, this one. So the steps are choosing your topic, researching, making an outline, writing your paper. Choosing your topic is pick up something that you love, get advice of people. Don't be hesitant to change your topic. This is very important. Many of you, who was telling me that 3 times he changed the topic? Somebody was telling me, I think Mohsin was telling me. Mohsin?
No, sir. No, sir.
Somebody was telling me in the morning. In the last this one, or Saptarshi, I don't know. He says 3 times he had to change.
Good afternoon. It was me, sir, Aman Jindal.
Aman. Okay.
I had changed my topic.
Yeah. So changing the topic is very common in research. Changing the topic is very common in research. Initially choose a broad area and then finalize. Formulating the research topic is potential research problems may occur to us on a regular basis. See, research topic, how it appears to us, there need not be a background. Suddenly he says, I want to study how this works. I want to study how is Ayushman Bharat working. Suddenly it might happen to you. So topic might occur to you. Professor Matthew Manimala, have you joined? Professor Matthew?
Yes, I am here.
Oh, great, sir. Great. I'll close.
Because you are going on, I didn't want to disturb you.
No, sir. I just want to know that you joined. Okay, now with this, I will close this topic. I'll hand over to Professor Matthew. Sir, can we give them 5 minutes break, bio break?
Sure.
So you all can take 5 minutes bio break. Don't have to log out. Meenakshi, are you there? Meenakshi? Okay, so please continue.